Hey, truth seekers, welcome back. Zach here. It's November 2nd, 2016. Later today will be Game 7 of the World Series in Cleveland. Chicago Cubs at Cleveland Indians. About 2 months ago, I updated my baseball prediction for the World Series. In spring training, I said the Cubs would win it this year. About 2 months ago, I said the Cubs are going to win it in Game 7. A lot lines up for Game 7 of the 112th World Series coming on November 2nd, 11/2, where we are. And here we are, Game 7. The Cubs still need to win for my prediction to be correct. But as I was pointing out, a lot made sense about there being a Game 7. I expect the Cubs to win tonight, even though they have to go up against Cleveland's pitching, which, with the combination of Corey Kluber, who's starting the game, and Andrew Miller, the middle reliever, those two have dominated Chicago in the World Series. But I think tonight that's going to change. Remember, it's all a script. Here's everything we're going to talk about. We're going to preview the game. I'm going to show you what the name change with the 108-story Willis Tower has to do with the World Series and why they changed it the date they did. All of this is proof of how scripted the world of professional sports is. We're going to be talking about the Willis Tower, 108 stories tall. It's been 108 years since the Cubs won the World Series. Major League equals 108. 108 stitches on a baseball. We're going to be talking about Charlie Sheen. They're saying Charlie Sheen might have put a curse on the Indians in Game 4 of the World Series. That's funny because the Cubs were cursed with the curse of the Billy Goat after Game 4 of the 1945 World Series. We're going to be talking about Charlie Sheen's September 3rd birthday in light of the 9-3 win last night. If you watched my preview video for the game, I talked a lot about 93. We got a final score of 9-3. We're also going to be talking about the 93 movie Rookie of the Year, about the Chicago Cubs finally winning in 93. We're going to talk about Ferris Bueller's Day Off. This is actually going to be the most mind-blowing part of this post. I cannot believe all that they've coded into Ferris Bueller about this World Series. How Matthew Broderick, the actor in this film, 1986, how his birthday is synced up with this World Series. Just wait. But this is all proof of what I've been saying for 3 years. The same gang makes Hollywood, makes your news, builds your skyscrapers, rigs your sports games, rigs your elections. It is the Freemasons, it is the Zionists. And the word Zionist equals 112, like this being the 112th World Series. If your brain functions, by the time you finish this video, you'll have no doubt that this entire gang that I just said that runs all those things is responsible for this scripting, which we're going to go through. ESPN this morning was clowning a minute 37 timestamp about will the joke be on Cleveland? Will they lose in a Game 7 after the Cleveland Cavaliers came back and won in a Game 7? From the date of LeBron winning the NBA Finals, June 19th, 2016, from Game 7 of the NBA Finals, which the Cavs won on the real King James's birthday, to today's Game 7 of the World Series is a span of 137 days. Again, that's the 33rd prime number, and Cleveland equals 33, that number of Freemason obsession. The word diamond equals 33, baseball centered around the diamond, the Freemasons, the architects of the game of baseball, just like the game of American football. So we'll be talking about some things I noticed in last night's game besides the score. Quite a few things stood out. Number 17, Rookie of the Year in the 17th state, had a perfect batting game. The starting pitcher, Tomlin, came out after his 48th pitch. I pointed out before the game it was a date with 48 numerology. Cleveland hadn't won the World Series since 48. They honored the only surviving member of that World Series team. In Cleveland, Tomlin pitched before his father, who was visiting. The word father equals 58. He had 58 pitches for that game. Freemasonry 58, Secret Society 58. Also, something really simple to see that just dawned on me. I didn't realize this all season, despite saying the Cubs were going to win the World Series. Chicago Cubs in Gematria sums to 91. If you take all the numbers that divide into 91, they sum to 112, like this being the 112th World Series. So let's go back through all of this. Let's preview tonight's game. Let me give you the in-depth details of the things we just briefly talked about. ESPN this morning had this up, which made me laugh. 1:56. That's interesting because it's a lot like the number 156. If you write out 33, it sums to 156. Cleveland, the only city in Major League Baseball that sums to 33, name gematria. The Cubs have only won 2 World Series so far, both against the Tigers. The Tigers is the only name in gematria that sums to 33 in Major League Baseball. Will they beat the only team twice, Tigers, 33, and get their 3rd World Series win against the only city, 33? I think it's likely. The singular for the word Indian also sums to 33. I've been pointing out since spring training when I said the Cubs would be in the World Series that there'll be ties to the election and Hillary Clinton, who's from Chicago, who is a Cubs fan. The name Clinton 33, Federal 33, Masonry 33, Secrecy 33. In 1997 is the last time the Indians were in the World Series. They lost in Game 7 on October 26th to the Marlins, which is Hillary's birthday, October 26th. This year, the Cubs got their first win against the Indians in the World Series on October 26th, making the series 1-1 in Cleveland. They mentioned the word epic, an epic World Series. Right now, it's 3-3 in Cleveland. Epic has that 33 gematria. Kyle Hendricks is on the mound for the Cubs tonight, who was the winning pitcher in Game 7 of the NLCS, breaking the curse of the Billy Goat. 71-year curse, 1945 to 2016. Game 1 of the World Series began October 25th, a date with 71 numerology. That's the same day the NBA season began, the 71st NBA season. No coincidence. We'll be talking about Kyle Hendricks' name, what it has to do with tonight, what it has to do with 93, last night's score 9-3. We'll be talking about Corey Kluber and Kyle Hendricks' stats. Let's get to it. First, I got to take you back in time. After the September 16th Cubs game, I made a video saying again why I thought the Cubs would win in Game 7. We're going to talk about that right here. Today's date, November 2nd, can be written 11/2, a lot like 112, or 2/11, which is a lot like 211, which is the 47th prime number. The word time has gematria 47. This is going to break a curse in time for either team, no matter who wins. 47 is also the number for president. We're talking about the connections to Hillary Clinton. 47 days before today's game was September 16th, and Miguel Montero, number 47 for the Cubs, hit a walk-off home run, number 47, 47 days before Game 7 on 2/11, 211, the 47th prime. I made a video then saying all of these things. I said this to me is further evidence we're going to Game 7. This is not a coincidence. Again, President 47, time 47. They say that Saturn is the keeper of time. Saturn has gematria of 93. They tell us in our science books that the sun, which is the real keeper of time, is 93 million miles away. On average, the sun is 93 million miles away. Very interesting that they tell us that. As a child, I used to question that, not even knowing about numerology or gematria. It just seems so far, 93 million. I knew how hard it was just to see the giant mountain that's only 50 miles away. So anyway, Saturn, 93, special number. Last night, I pointed out before the game, it was going to be 93 days from the last birthday of Jose Fernandez, who passed away for the Marlins. Yesterday, the 9-3 game was 93 days from his last birthday. Fernandez equals 93, that special number. Of course, the Indians played the Marlins in the 97 World Series. The Cubs lost to the Marlins 13 years ago in the 2003 NLCS. If you haven't seen my 2016 MLB postseason playlist, it's in the description. Tons of videos I've made in the time of the playoffs. They're all worth watching, honestly. So much information I put out. The Indians' mascot, its name is also Chief Wahoo, spelled just like this, gematria 93. You know, a mocking mascot, mocking natives, bright red skin, grin. 93 is a very important number to the Zionist Jewish nation of Israel, which is the nation that has, well, even before it existed, the people who run that nation were the people running this nation, running pro sports, running media. What I'm showing you, this gematria, it's part of Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, which is practiced by Jewish people. Jewish people run your sports, they run your media, they run your government. It's not hard to see who's doing this. Go over to Israel's history, everything is 93. The country was drawn up on September 3rd, Charlie Sheen's birthday. This year, the MLB season also began on April 3rd, which is typically the 93rd day of the year. This year, it was the 94th because it was a leap year. Remember, 94, a special number 2. Jose Fernandez's birthday to today's game is 94 days. When you write out 94, it has the same gematria as World Series, which is 147. The Cubs got their 94th win in their 147th game on Miguel Montero's walk-off 47 days before this game. 94 was the lockout season. So Miguel Montero, number 47, his name in gematria sums to 68. So does the name Barack Obama, the current president. Hillary, born in 47, from Chicago, running to be the next president, the 45th. Cubs haven't been in a World Series since 45. We'll talk more about it. The name Montero alone sums to 37. Chicago equals 37 the small way. Miguel's 31. Are the Cubs going to come back from 3-1 like the Cleveland Cavs did in the NBA Finals? In the NBA Finals, I was very confident the Cavs would come back because Game 7 was on the real King James's birthday. You're aware of that. It wasn't hard to see how it was scripted. By the way, the final score of Game 7 of the NBA Finals was in Oracle Arena. In Golden State, Oracle Arena equals 93 in gematria. The Cavs won with 93 points. Now, 93 the focus. I'll also remind you, the Warriors lost with 89 points. King James equals 89. On the real King James's birthday, the word religion equals 89, King James Bible. Game 7 in gematria sums to 91 and 37. Chicago Cubs again 91. Chicago 37. The divisors of 91 sum to 112. The 112th World Series being decided on Game 7 on November 2nd. Today's date has 49 numerology, number of revelation. The square root of 49 is 7. Fitting day for Game 7. Date with 13 numerology. If you count every number up to 13, 1 plus 2 plus 3 up to 13, sums to 91. Been 13 years since the Cubs lost in the NLCS. Also, if you write out 13, it sums to 45. Like Wrigley, like Illinois, like Major League, like Cubs, also like Bears. The head coach of the Bears, John Fox. Fox equals 45. The head coach of the Bears has the same birthday as Joe Madden. Think that's a coincidence? Bears coach, Chicago Bears, Chicago Cubs, same birthday, which is February 8th, 8/2. Chicago, Illinois equals 82 with the S exception, 91. Let's look at the starting pitchers. Corey Kluber's been lights out in the postseason in the World Series. Notice he's being paid $4.5 million. You think he might be paid to throw this game? That's why pro athletes are paid so much, people, because they're actors. They are paid to throw games on command, which they do all the time. How do you think Vegas spreads are so tight? How do you think Vegas always wins? How do you think they come out each day with hundreds of sports games worldwide and they have all the spreads ready to go? You think a group of mad scientist gamblers get together and they crack the spreads for each game? I mean, come on, people. It's so obvious it's all scripted. They're playing you because they know the people are blind. Corey Scott Kluber, his full name in gematria sums to 68. It's been 68 years since the Cubs won. Or not the Cubs, since the Indians won in 48, who he plays for. The Cubs, when they won the NLCS, they won on a date with 68 numerology. Barack Obama equals 68. Miguel Montero equals 68. Does Montero come in the game tonight and bust up Corey Kluber? We'll see how it all plays out. Sometimes these situations arise by the numbers. Corey Kluber also has gematria of 54 and 63. For you Indians fans who are praying for a win, you shouldn't be because it's all rigged. Who cares? Here's your prayer. Corey Kluber equals 54 like baseball. 63 is interesting because if you count every number up to 63, it sums to 2016 like the year we're in. Corey Kluber and Josh Tomlin, both of their names sum to 135 just like Wrigley Field. They both went into Wrigley Field and won games 3 and 4. You know? It's because it's all scripted, it's all planned way in advance. It's just like how the second baseman of the Indians, Kipnis, he grew up on the same street as Steve Bartman by the Chicago Cubs. Professional sports is mostly a network of Freemasons and people born into it, born and bred to be what they are. A lot of us could have been pro athletes if we were born into the network, born and bred to be our whole lives, you know. I was a very good advanced athlete as a child. If I had the right training my whole life, I'm sure I could be doing exactly what you see these guys doing on the TV. I can already do most of it in baseball. You know, so many people are idolizing these athletes who they're not even really the best talent. They're just chosen from birth. You know, how many children worldwide are duped? My father raised me to be a professional athlete. That's all I did as a kid, study and throw baseballs for the most part. You know, my dad didn't know. He thought just the best people are who make it. No, it's mostly just people born into the network. This day he was born, date with 119 numerology. We'll talk more about that number with the Willis Tower, special number, all-seeing eye, Star of David, master plan. Date with a life lesson number of 38. That's interesting because the name Murphy equals 38. The number attached, or Murphy is the goat connected to the curse of the billy goat. The word Jew also equals 38. Wall Street Journal, just before the World Series began, said the Chicago Cubs are the official team of the Jews. Jews, in plural, has the same gematria as World Series, which we'll also talk about with the Willis Tower and more. If Kluber loses, the Cubs will become 3-8 in World Series, overcoming the curse of the billy goat Ole. He also has birth numerology of 29, and Ohio in gematria equals 29, where Game 7 is tonight. So the opposing pitcher, Kyle Hendricks, he has the Pearl Harbor birthday, born in 89, currently 26 years old, the God number. The English alphabet is 26 letters for a reason. The word God, G-O-D, 7 plus 15 plus 4 equals 26. Special number in sports to the Masons. The word Mason has gematria of 26. It seems these people truly are playing God over people's lives, deceiving them in so many ways. Anyway, look at this. When you write out 71 as a word, it sums to 144. Again, it's been 71 years since the Cubs were in the 45 World Series. The World Series began on a date with 71 numerology. The Indians came into it 7-1. There's been 71 tributes every single game. Last night in Game 6, the score was momentarily 7-1 plus more. The name Kyle Hendricks in gematria sums to 144. So does Pearl Harbor Day, the day he's born on, December 7th. And 144 is the number for time in Jewish gematria. The square root of 144 is 12. 12 hours in the morning, the evening, 12 months in a year. Number of measurement. The Fibonacci sequence. Amazingly, the 144 is a Fibonacci number, and it happens to be the 12th Fibonacci number. So not only is the square root of 144 12, the 12th Fibonacci number is 144. He's born in 89, which is the 11th Fibonacci number. His date of birth, date with 127 numerology, that's the 31st prime number. Perfect pitcher to come back from 3-1. LeBron James was 31 years old this year. Basketball equals 3-1. Remember, the Warriors came back from 3-1 against the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals. Then the Cavs came back 3-1 on them. He's also born on a date with 46 numerology. Chicago 46, Chicago Cubs 46, Hendricks 46, his last name alone. He pitched in Game 3. He did lose in Game 3, or his team lost at home. That's where Kluber also pitched. Or no, wait a minute. Do I have that backwards? That's where Tomlin pitched. He lost against Tomlin last time. Now he faces Kluber. It's also a date with 37 numerology, connecting to Chicago in Game 7, which he's pitching in. And it's also a date with 108 numerology. You know, how fitting. 108, here we are, 108 years since the Cubs won a World Series. From his last birthday to this game today is 331 days. That's the 67th prime number, Cleveland Indians 67. We talked about 144. We talked about 47. The time is now for somebody's curse to break. Is it going to be the Cubs or the Indians? I've been saying Cubs all year. Last year, remember in spring training, I said the Mets would win the World Series. They made it. They didn't win. This year, I said Cubs would win the World Series. They've made it. They're yet to win. The last name Hendricks also has gematria of 91, like Chicago Cubs. Again, the divisors of 91 sum to 112. Today's date, also interesting. It leaves 59 days left in the year. It's the 307th day because it's a leap year, something like Chicago, 37. The number 59, though, is the 17th prime, and again, Ohio's the 17th state. We'll see what number 17 does for the Cubs tonight. Rookie of the year, he had a big game yesterday back in Ohio. '17, of course, the reflection is 71. Again, the World Series began October 25th, 2016. A date with 71 numerology. Here's the postseason stats for the starting pitchers. Kluber comes in 4-1. If he wins tonight and becomes 5-1, Cleveland equals 51, Conspiracy 51, Charlie Sheen's 51. If he loses, he becomes 4-2, like Freemason. Very possible. Big number important to King James in the NBA Finals that passed. If Kyle Hendricks wins tonight, he'll become 2-1. Illinois is the 21st state. Look at his ERA coming into the game, 1.31. That's interesting because 131 is connected to championships. Super Bowl 131, championship 131. When you write out 57 131, 57 is the World Series number. Last year, Dave Henderson died at age 57, 57 days after the World Series ended. The last team he played for were the Royals, who won the World Series. Henderson equals 57. With regards to 57, let's jump to the Willis Tower that's 108 stories tall. Again, Major League equals 108, 108 stitches on a baseball. Willis Tower, it used to be the Sears Tower, but it changed its name to Willis Tower. Willis Tower equals 57, just like World Series, you know? Again, the reason all this is possible is because a network is doing all of this, and they're doing it by the numbers, and things have been planned out long in advance by this gang. They're executing a code, a planned agenda. It's been scripted. The sports, the history, the news, we're living it until the day we end it. The word skyscraper, it's considered a skyscraper. It was once the tallest skyscraper in the world. A skyscraper equals 45, like Illinois, like Major League, like Wrigley, like 13, like Cubs. We're going to talk about its address in 13. Notice it's at 233 South Wacker Drive, Chicago. 233 is the 13th Fibonacci number, also the 51st prime number. Again, Cleveland has the 51 connection, Conspiracy. We're in the season of Super Bowl 51. Remember, in 1997, the Indians lost the World Series in Game 7 on Hillary Clinton's birthday. That was 1997. This year's the 97th season of the NFL. This year's NFL season was the first to have back-to-back ties in 2 weeks in a row since the 1997 NFL season. I showed how both of those ties were scripted to the World Series before I even knew that fact. All of this is tight. It's the year of the 51st Super Bowl. 13th Fibonacci number. Again, 13 connects to 45 like the Cubs and the World Series. Wacker Drive, which this is on, in gematria sums to 119. And just think of the name Wacker Drive. With a baseball bat, you know, make good contact, you might almost make the sound whack. I don't think that's any coincidence. I think that all of this stuff has been done truly, building it 108 stories tall. We'll talk about the date this building opened. Wacker Drive 119, All Seeing Eye 119, Star of David, Master Plan. The Sears Tower opened in 73, just like the World Trade Centers. The Sears Tower opened in September of 73, the World Trade Centers April of 73. Think about how the World Trade Centers came down on September 11th, 11/9 in most parts of the world. Wacker also has gematria of 61. That's the 18th prime number. Baseball, the small way equals 18. Wacker in Jewish gematria is 999. We'll talk about that number. 666 upside down in just a second. The group that bought the tower and changed the name was Willis Group Holdings out of the United Kingdom. You know, we just had that Redskins-Bengals tribute in London that I said was not a good sign for the Indians, the Redskins shanking the 34-yard field goal to end in a tie. It happened in week 7, the first tie, and then week 8 in the NFL season, Cleveland equals 78. Anyway, this group out of London, their name in gematria sums to 105, like Zionism and Masonry. They made the name change July 16th, 2009. That was a date with 52 numerology, the number of prophecy. The name Wild Thing has gematria 52 from Major League, the movie. It's a date with 34 numerology, Indians equals 34. It was a date with 25 numerology, 97's the 25th prime. Indians lost in the 97 World Series. Here we are in the 97th season of the NFL. The Chicago Bears just got a symbolic win, which I said would likely happen in tribute to the World Series after I talked about how George Halas died 33 years before the game started, the founder of the Bears. Papa Bear equals 33, like MNF from Monday Night Football, the 33-year anniversary of Papa Bear's death, the night the Bears upset the Vikings at home. John Fox got his 8th win in week 8. Papa Bear died at age 88, 94 days before his birthday. 94, the big number for the World Series this year. This date, July 16th, can also be written 16/7, the 39th prime. That's what the Jewish faith goes by, the 39 books in the Old Testament. Revelation, the book of prophecies based on the 39 books of the Old Testament. From the day of the name change to Game 7 of the World Series is 2,666 days. And what's standing out to me about that is how prophecy sums to 666 in Jewish gematria. Revelation talks about the number 666, Revelation 13:18. And look at the zip code, 60606. I mean, you think it's a coincidence? Some people do. It's amazing. They talk about the opening of the sky deck extending to the building, June 22nd, 1974. They put it on the 103rd floor. The Cubs won 103 games this year. Billy Goat equals 103. The date they opened it, 22/6, remember that date when we talk about Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Ferris Bueller's Day Off is all about 226. When you write out 226, it sums to 93, the number for Saturn, the keeper of time. Think about the 93 World Trade Center bombing on February 26th. Bill Clinton had just become the 42nd president. 93 and 226 go together. And we're talking about 93 on this World Series, the number for Saturn, the keeper of time. Again, World Trade Center, Sears Tower, Willis Tower, opened in 73. Hillary Clinton equals 73. She became First Lady in 93. Some things could be a coincidence, but, you know, a lot of these things are built tributes for the planned agenda. In history, there were court cases to stop these structures from being built because they were so tall. It's interesting that the dates in history where the courts made rulings were both dates with 108 numerology because the building was going to be too tall at 108 stories. You know? Think it's a coincidence? Again, it's amazing how some people just chalk up everything to coincidence. All right, so Charlie Sheen, here we go. They're saying, did he put a curse on in Game 4 of this World Series? 1945, Billy Zionist brought his Billy Goat to the 1945 World Series between the Cubs and Tigers, Game 4, and was kicked out because the goat smelled and he cursed the Cubs. Now they're saying, did Charlie Sheen curse the Indians in Game 4? Same game as 1945. Show you something about Charlie Sheen in the movie Major League, which came out 27 years ago. MLB equals 27. In that film, he wears the number 99. His name's Ricky Vaughn. Wild Thing. Wild Thing has the same gematria as Prophecy, 52 and 106. 99 is super interesting. Well, first I'll just tell you about Vaughn. Vaughn equals 73. We just talked about the Sears Tower opening in 73. The reflection of 73 is 37. Chicago's 37. And again, Hillary Clinton, born in Chicago, is 73. His name, Ricky Vaughn, has the same gematria as Freemasonry. That's the network responsible for all this, along with the Zionists. Pretty much two things attached at the hip. Charlie Sheen is currently 51 years old. Rick Vaughn, he's also called in the movie. Rick Vaughn sums to 51. Rick Vaughn also equals 114. If the Cubs win tonight, it'll be their 114th total win of the season. If the Indians win tonight, it'll be their 105th win of the season. We just talked about that as two, that number 2 with the Willis Tower. But LeBron James equals 114. Special number to LeBron James. Think about how this Game 7 is synced up with the Game 7 of the NBA Finals. With regards to him wearing 99 in the movie, Illinois equals 99. Before this World Series began, the Cubs and Indians had played each other 18 times total. They were 9-9 against each other. Both teams had 9 wins. Baseball equals 18, 18 games played. Right now, they're currently 12-12. They've each won 3 more in the World Series. 12 times 12, 144. We're talking about Kyle Hendricks on the mound. Hillary Rodham, her birth name, 144. In addition to Illinois equaling 99, again, 13 the big way equals 99. Show you how that connects to tonight. Or Game 4. As well as, well, anyhow, here, Game 4 in Gematria sums to 41. 41's the 13th prime. They're saying, did Charlie Sheen, who wore 99 in this movie, curse them? 41's the 13th prime. His number connected. You see how they're doing this? Last year, Andrew Luck, he missed his first regular season game. It was on a date with 13 numerology, considered an unlucky number, and that game went to overtime 13-13. You know, just things I've documented. All of this stuff, tributes in the numbers, superstition, and more. Again, when you count 1 through 13, it sums to 91. Charlie Sheen, 51 years old right now. Born September 3rd, a date that can be written 9/3 like 93 or 3/9 like 39. I forgot to do his name gematria. Let me do it real quick in my head. 3 plus 8 plus 1 plus 9 plus 3 plus 9 plus 5. That's what you want to be able to do. I just reduced each letter to a single digit and added. Here, let me do it real quick. Charlie equals 38, like Murphy, the number attached to the Billy Goat curse. Jew equals 38. Sheen. Sheen equals 24 and 33 with the S exception. So 38 plus 24, 62 like Mason, okay. Or 71 with the S exception. Okay, see, I should have done that before. Charlie Sheen, 71. You know, 71 years since the Cubs were in the World Series. Plus Sheen's 33. The series is at 3-3 in Cleveland. Cleveland 33. We talked about it. From his birthday to today's game is a span of 61 days. 61's the 18th prime. Roger Maris broke the home run record in 61 with 61. See my video on that. See my video on that. Everything was synced up. The pitcher, the catcher, the batter. You know, that's one of my older videos. The NBA Finals ended this year on a date with 61 numerology. Finals equals 61. NBA Finals, this World Series, Game 7 synced up. Major League Rookie of the Year. Look at what the premise of this movie is. It's 1993, right? And this kid can throw 103 miles per hour. Billy Goat equals 103. Jacob Arrieta equals 103. Cubs won 103 games in the regular season. Drop the 0 from the middle. You're at 13. We're talking an awful lot about 13. LeBron won the NBA Finals at the end of his 13th season on the date with 61 numerology. It was also a date with 41 numerology. 41 the 13th prime. You might recall that Game 7, both the Warriors and Cavs, it was a story that they both came in with 610 points scored against each other. Dead even coming into Game 7. 610, 6-1, 61. This movie came out on July 7th. 7-7, baseball bat equals 77. It's also a date with 126 numerology, and I put out so many videos yesterday. I talked about, oh, I know what it is. Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. They won the College World Series. That name equals 108. Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. It's a span of 126 days from them winning to today's game, and the Cubs might break the 108-year curse. Coastal Carolina equals 54. Chanticleers 54. Baseball 54. Put it together, 108. This movie came out on a date with 107 numerology as well. Add the plus 19 more, you get to 126. But 107 is interesting because this year it's been 108 years since the Cubs won the World Series, 107 seasons because of the 94 lockout. 107, something like 17. Ohio, the 17th state where it will end. Indians had a good year that year again. Look at the name of the character, Truth Seeker. 102, 228, numbers that connect to United States of America. We saw the Cubs win a game in the NLCS with 10-2 was the score. United States of America also equals 84. The Cubs won 2 games 8-4. His last name in the movie, gematria of 68. Again, Chicago Indians, it's been 68 years. Cubs advanced on the date with 68 numerology. Same people who make your movies rig your sports. It's all storylines written by them. Now, credit goes to Dan Barrett here. Dan Barrett did a video showing how Ferris Bueller was synced up with what's going on in the World Series. Mind-blowing stuff. He points out Ferris Bueller early in the film with this native blanket. Think about Cubs, Indians. I'll show you that what he found is no coincidence right here. This is amazing. Matthew Broderick is currently 54 years old. 54. Baseball equals 54. It's why the hardest throwing pitcher in the league on the Cubs wears number 54. Born on a date with 105 numerology. We talked about that number. Born on a date with 42 numerology. We talked about that. Born on a date with 86 numerology. Rookie of the year in gematria equals 86. 86 is a special number because the word symbol equals 86, triangle 86, pyramid 86. This film, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, came out in 1986. The name in gematria sums to 226. 226, the film's set in Chicago. From Matthew Broderick's March 21st birthday, when he turned 54, to Game 7 is 226 days. Now look, when you write out 226, it sums to 93. And I don't need to talk about 93 again. They tell us the sun is 93 million miles away. The word Saturn equals 93. Saturn's the keeper of time to the occult. The sun's the real keeper of time. Notice that sun has gematria of 54 like baseball. A lot of this comes back to sun worship, these tributes. So anyway, the film equals 226. 226 days from Matthew Broderick's birthday. When you write out 226, it sums to 93. Look at this. The name Matthew Broderick equals 175. Let me remind you, the World Trade Centers, they had the 93 World Trade Center bombing on February 26th. Flight 175 was the second plane to fly into them. The first plane was Flight 11 that flew into the buildings that look like massive 11s. Flight AA11, it supposedly hit floors 93 through 99. Matthew Broderick equals 175. It was Flight 175. If you write 175, it sums to 226, which comes back to 93. There was also Flight 93 of 33 passengers on 9/11. Flight 77 hit the 77-foot-tall Pentagon on the 77th meridian 77 minutes after taking off. Plus more. Look up Paul Wolfowitz. Wrote something called The Project for a New American Century, needing a new Pearl Harbor. He worked in the Pentagon from the year 77 up to 9/11. It's not hard to see when you know. Matthew Broderick also got married in the year 97 to Sarah Jessica Parker. Sarah Jessica Parker equals 74, like Masonic, like Jewish. She is Jewish. New York's on the 74th meridian. Crucifix equals 93. Cross equals 74. Jesus 74. The World Trade Centers lasted for 33 years, from 68 to 2001. Look at this. Matthew Broderick, his birthday, it's also March 21st, which can be written 21/3, or 3/21 like a countdown. But 21/3 is interesting because from the start of the baseball season, which was April 3rd, typically the 93rd day of the year, to today's Game 7 is 213 days. Nimrod equals 213, who's the original Freemason from the Bible. It's also 30 weeks and 3 days, something like 33. Isn't it amazing? This is all proof of how planned out everything is. I'm going to link Dan's video so you can watch how he figured out how Ferris Bueller and this movie were linked. But this is what they do. In so many movies, they've left clues for things they're going to do. From September 11th to Rig Sports. Last year, I was showing everybody how Jerry Maguire showed that the Super Bowl would be Broncos over Panthers. You know, that film came out in 96, 20 years before the Super Bowl in the beginning of 2016. The name Broderick also has gematria of 85, the divisors of 85, sum to 108, big number on the World Series. Fitting that they would sync it up through Matthew Broderick. Matthew has gematria of 27 like MLB, 27 books in the New Testament, which begins with Matthew. Remember, New Testament equals 42 like Freemason, like the first published Bibles, 42-line Bibles. The New Testament begins with the 42 generations to Jesus. June 11th, 86. Let's just do this together. 6 plus 11, 17. Here we are in the 17th state. Plus 86 is 103. 17 plus 86, 103. Billy Goat. Cubs won 103 games in the regular season. Today's date also has 49 numerology like Revelation, like Broderick, like Jacob Arrieta, who wears 49. Ferris Bueller has gematria of 78 like Cleveland. The film is 103 minutes long, Truth Seeker. You know? Something else, isn't it? Again, 137 days from Game 7 in Cleveland, well, that Cleveland Cavs were involved in, to Game 7 in Cleveland. "76-second timestamp here. Cleveland Indians equals 67 and 76 with the S exception. And with the V exception, Cleveland Indians equals 94. They won 94 games this season. Cubs won with 13 hits last night. We talked about Chicago Cubs equals 91. When you count 1 through 13, it totals 91. The score was 7-1 at one point. That's 71 tribute. Number 17. Oh, I guess number 17 went 4 for 5. I thought he went 4 for 4. He must have got out in his final at bat. But anyway, big night for number 17. When the score was 7-2, I was watching with my girlfriend, and I said, I bet you anything this game finishes 9-3. And when Rizzo got up, Rizzo equals 94. I said to her, I think I smell a home run right here, because I knew that would make it 9-2, and then the Indians would just need 1 in the 9th, which they got. And Rizzo hit the bomb right out of the park. And also, on the grand slam, I told my girlfriend, watch, a base hit's coming here, some sort of hit. I wasn't sure it would be a grand slam, but I knew a hit was coming because they put up the stat for this Addison Russell that the Cubs were 0-6 in the World Series with the bases loaded. And I said, watch, a hit will make it 1 out of 7, like 17, the 17th state. And then came the grand slam on the 51st pitch of the game. Conspiracy 51, Cleveland 51. Russell's a name with prophecy. Russell, the name has prophecy gematria 106. Addison Russell, I should do his full name. Save one for you. I bet his name connects to Chicago Cubs. I don't know why I didn't do that. Cubs had 39 at-bats, winning 9-3, 153 total pitches, the number from the miraculous catch in the Bible. Also, with regards to the Cubs pitching staff, they had 152 total pitches, 88 for strikes. Call it a coincidence, but the Indians lost the World Series on Hillary's 50th birthday, October 26, 1997. That was a date with 152 numerology. 152 pitches last night to bring it to Game 7. Indians have deja vu here. Pennsylvania equals 152, has me thinking of Pennsylvania Avenue. 88 pitches for strikes. Curse of the Billy Goat, 88. And for those of you who don't think professionals can make sure to hit balls and strikes every time, as a 12-year-old, I could make sure I hit balls and strikes every time. I was that deadly accurate by that age. Because I was a pitching machine. You should have seen the way my dad worked me. You don't think these pro athletes can throw balls and strikes every time on command? They wouldn't be getting paid millions of dollars. I couldn't throw as hard as these guys when I was 12. I couldn't throw as much break. But, I was truly a pitching machine at age 12. So for all of you who don't think pro athletes are this good, it's because you're not an athlete yourself. You're a spectator. It's why I figured out as a child that professional sports were rigged. I saw these adults getting paid all this money making mistakes that I knew better than to make as a child. You know, you watch what these people do every week, it'll make you pull your hair out. Just the other game, I mean, did you see when all of a sudden the Indians couldn't field the ball in Game 6? Give me a break. Did you see the way Game 1 started of the National League Championship Series? Fly ball right to the left fielder, he drops it. Come on, people. See the way the World Series started last year with the Mets? Yoenis Cespedes forgot how to catch the ball. Then he forgot to play baseball through the entire World Series. And speaking of forgetting how to play baseball, I'm wondering if Baez for the Cubs is going to get a break tonight. He's just been awful. He's been striking out at everything, and it doesn't even look like he's trying. I think all of his strikeouts have been scripted. We'll see if they let him play well in Game 7. If he plays well, he could be the story Baez. He's the one who hit that home run on the 108th pitch to get the World Series started. That home run, 108th pitch against the Giants. He's been a strikeout machine ever since. And again, Tomlin had 48 pitches on the date with 48 numerology. The Indians haven't won the World Series since 48. Also, with the election parallels, Donald Trump in gematria equals 48. He began his campaign in the 48th state, Arizona. There's an election tie here. So closing comments, I'm going to link Dan Barrett's video in the description. Watch this video. Dan's brilliant. He can be a little long-winded, but his material's awesome. He makes great finds that I overlook. Every time I get a chance to watch one of his videos, I learn something. Dan learned from me, and now Dan's teaching me. Another student of mine is Tony Lorenzi. Somehow he's become more popular than Dan, even though he's been doing this for a shorter time and his work's not as good. But I want to compliment Tony. You know, he doesn't give up. He keeps working at it. Those of you who watch Tony's videos, what I want you to start doing in the comments to his videos, because I've told him 100 times to stop doing this. Part of me thinks Tony might be here to shill. Because ever since Tony showed up, Tony has been picking contrary to me and picking incorrectly and being very arrogant about his picks. And while at the same time praising me, being insulting about my picks, saying my picks are misguided, fool's gold. You know, here's what I want you to tell Tony to do. He'll type out a sentence like this in the gematria calculator. He'll write, Chicago Cubs equals fool's gold. And then he'll take what the gematria value of that is, if it fits into his narrative, and he'll say, see, that's proof the Cubs are going to lose. That's proof the Dodgers are going to win. That is complete bullshit, people. That is not how you do gematria. That is how you do nonsense and arrive at false conclusions. A lot of Tony's work is good, which is why I'm complimenting him, but every time he does this shit and tells you that the value's this, so this team's going to win or lose, it's just idiotic. And for him to be doing it more than a year after I've been telling him that this is foolish is just, I don't even know how to put words to it. I showed him all year that the Cubs, everything lined up for them to be in the World Series. And he was using things such as Chicago Cubs equals fool's gold to tell you that the Dodgers were going to win the World Series. Now, he was right to pick the Dodgers to be in the NLCS, but using these baseless methods to say that they're going to beat the Cubs, no. Some of Tony's work's good. Anytime he does this, comment in the section, yo, Tony, you got to stop doing that. If he starts hearing it from everybody, he's going to stop. Because since his Dodgers-Cubs World Series pick has been proven false, I've already said to him, see, Tony, you have to stop doing this. I've tuned into a couple of his videos since, and he's doing the same thing. He's making up sentences and saying teams are going to win. So, you know, either Tony's a nice guy and he's really stubborn and he's just trying to do gematria based on how he wants to do it, or he's here to purposely confuse people. So, Tony, I'm talking to you as well. You know, I appreciate your compliments. You've made nice videos and recommended my channel. But if you're going to keep doing this, you're doing a detriment to gematria. And a lot of people who are following us, you're like the second most popular person behind me doing this. That's because nobody was doing this work in the world before I showed people this was going on. But anyway, Tony, you have a chance to be an example and guide people the right way. There's people who know about your channel who haven't even found mine. So you need to stop doing this foolish bullshit. What's fool's gold is your method of doing this kind of gematria. Stop it. And also, Truth Seeker, look, these are just videos I've made in the time of the playoffs. And I think I've even forgot to add some to this playlist. But all of these videos show just how scripted these playoffs have been. Check it out. I'm linking it below. We'll see what happens tonight. Until next time, True Seekers.